This is neither Republican nor Democrat. It is both, and any areas in between, and nonpartisan. And the person who is the founder from the Republican side of the ledger is Mark McKinnon, who has had considerable experience in Republican campaigns as a Republican strategizer and in the Bush administration. And now he is moving to create something where actually things can get done in the United States, where that's been a little bit difficult in the last several years. Tell me the reasoning why a Republican would want to join up with the Democrats.
Well, I have an unusual political history. I worked for the first 15 years of my political life as Democratic politics, then the last 15 years in Republican politics. I've always believed that there are good people on both sides of the aisle, and part of the reason that I became a Republican was during a time in Texas when then Governor George W. Bush was working very closely in a very bipartisan fashion with the Democrats in Texas. And it's amazing how much you can get done when you don't care who gets the credit. And I watched as Governor Bush campaigned on a notion that he was going to go to Washington and help change the tone. And it was very interesting seeing Barack Obama do exactly the same thing. And in fact, comparing their speeches in their early campaigns, there's a lot of similarity about the desire, anyway, to come to Washington and change the tone, the partisanship, the poison environment. And as we know, they both hit a wall up there, and because the system as it's designed rewards bad behavior. And the reason it does that is because there's nothing that reflects the voice of the vast middle of America, the majority of America, to let elected officials know what they really think. Right now it's all kind of controlled on the left or the right, and there's nothing in the middle, and so that's what No Labels is designed to do.
Well, but you bring up an interesting point, and I think it's a point that the skeptics will throw back at you. You were talking about your experience with George W. Bush, called himself the compassionate conservative. He really tried to create the idea that there could be bipartisan cooperation, and Barack Obama, the same thing. Both of them became intensely polarizing, which suggests that maybe the idea of an effective center is something that's unrealistic given how people are dug in.
I think that's conventional wisdom. It's certainly understandable, and as is the skepticism. But what that doesn't take into account is where the American public is on this issue now. 10 years ago, they saw a lot of partisanship, and it translated into apathy. They just said, I don't care, I'm not going to participate anymore. Doesn't matter. Today it matters. They look at our budget deficits, they look at our national security threats, and they say, you know what, the issues are too important, A, for me to sit back and not do anything, and B, to not try and get my voice heard in Washington. So the fact is that this is a result of responding to people that we've seen all across the country who are all fired up and ready to go.
Well, that brings up an interesting challenge that you get a lot, is that the people who are fired up are the ones who, by definition, are the ones with strongly held views, often extreme views, where almost by definition the people who are in the middle are regarded as somewhat complacent.
That's what's different. The people in the middle are not complacent anymore. They are passionate, they're committed, and they need a vehicle, and they've told us we just need something to help us organize and get our voices heard. So that's what No Labels is designed to do.
Organized to do what?
Organized to reward good behavior. So when we see elected officials extend their arm across the aisle, we can go to the media and we can let people in their districts know that people in America support that. Instead of getting punished by the extremes on the right or the left, which is all that happens today, a reward system will help encourage more of that kind of behavior in Washington.
The atmosphere extends beyond the politicians. It extends to those who are around the politicians. I'm thinking of media. I'm thinking of the lobbyists and the special interests who have a vested interest in keeping things as divided we conquer, divided we fall as they are right now.
Well, there's no question about that. There are huge entrenched interests, and that's why this is hard and it's difficult and it hadn't been done before. But the fact is that America has never been this concerned, this frustrated, this upset with our political establishment. And politics ultimately responds to the market, and the market in America is voters.
Now you've gotten to this point. It was a struggle to get to this point, but it's like you've struggled to get to the beginning. What's next?
Well, we're trying to give the franchise to the people who are here. They're the people who told us that they want to organize. They've got hundreds and thousands of people back home in their districts that they want to organize. So we're trying to just give them the tools to say, Here's how you can go back. Here's what you can do. Here's how you can organize in your local community. And then ultimately we're going to go around, we're going to do town halls around the country, particularly in states with a lot of independent voters that can vote in primaries. And ultimately we may go around and support candidates, progressive, moderate candidates in both the Republican and Democratic primaries.